Update/May 1st, 2022. The first question is, who should commit such forgeries? What was the purpose of these forgeries? Because from the start it was clear that they would have no effect. And if such recruitment of young people is really needed, how will society react? There is no plan to defend Moldova, and that is clear. That there will be no mobilization, or that it will be too late, I also wrote about it. I do not believe that the Americans will intervene on the territory of the Republic of Moldova to fight the Russians in the same way that the Americans did not intervene in Georgia or Ukraine. Romanians will not enter Moldova alone against the Russians. Romanians will get involved if they are supported by allies. My impression is that those who create such forgeries are also fighting them. When you have no work, or your job is to create tension, diversion, or distract from real problems or mislead. The Moldovan army is not ready to face any attack from outside or even from Transnistria. Tiraspol controls Chisinau, and that is clear to everyone. The metallurgical plant in Ravnita continues to finance the separatist regime and to corrupt the forces and the leadership of Moldova. Update/May 6th, 2022. I will never return to Romania or Poland until all Poles, all without exception, politicians, people from the Polish government, intelligence, activists, etc., who have collaborated with Romanians/Moldovans, all without exception, politicians, people from the Romanian/Moldovan government, intelligence, activists, etc., in my file will, in the summer and autumn of 2017, and which continues to collaborate until now, be arrested for espionage in favor of Russia and for corruption. Update/May 15th, 2022. Everyone was wondering if the Russians could not get to Transnistria because the Ukrainians have S-300/Stinger, which protects them from any Russian entry into Transnistrian territory. Russian soldiers entered Transnistria from Chisinau International Airport as civilians and were taken to Transnistria. So far, it is estimated that up to 3,000 Russian soldiers have arrived in Transnistria. Because of this, the Moldovan authorities did not join the sanctions of the international community to allow the Russians to reach Moldova through Chisinau International Airport. 3,000 Russian soldiers conquer Moldova in 24 hours. Thanks to Maia Sandu, Popescu, and other bastards for losing the statehood and independence of Moldova. The fact that the Russians can get to Moldova already seems plausible to me that the Russians would get to Transnistria through Chisinau International Airport. The Russian special services are ready for such scenarios. The Russians are not so stupid as to send 5 people in groups to travel around Chisinau. Obviously you don't come with weapons and military forms through the airport. In Transnistria there is enough weapons and they don't all go the same way. I think that the routes are divided and enter through several checkpoints. All Russians must be banned from arriving in Moldova. Just a chance to leave Moldova. I do not rule out that these Russians will stay in the northern and southern part of Moldova to get information, although I am convinced that they know almost everything in Moldova, and to create diversion on day X or Y. You can ask the CIS to fight the Russians when they are the main smugglers with the Tiraspol regime. I also call those from CIS, the FSB branch in Moldova. Update/October 10th, 2022. In the context of the Russian air attacks this morning on several cities in Ukraine, the Ministry of Defense of Moldova informs that this morning, between 8:33 and 9:02, the specialized structures of the defense institution identified 3 Russian air targets that flew over the airspace of the Republic of Moldova. Update/October 26th, 2022. The pimp Vlad Plahotniuc was included in the Global Magnitsky Act sanctions list. The Office for Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, of the U.S. Treasury found that Vlad Plahotniuc is responsible for corruption in particularly large proportions. American authorities have confirmed that Vlad Plahotniuc captured and corrupted the judicial and rule of law institutions of the Republic of Moldova. Plotnyuk used money from corruption and political influence to eliminate political rivals and subjugate the country's judiciary. I am asking you to publish the list of people who took bribes from the pimp Plotnyuk, including Romanian and American officials, and to ban them from holding public positions. The Americans turned a blind eye to all the crimes committed by Vladimir Plotnyuk, and now that he is no longer useful to them, they included him in the list of global Magnitsky Act sanctions. As for the list of Romanian officials, over the Prud, who took bribes from Plotnyuk, they should include diplomats, ministers, directors of intelligence services, deputies/senators, and if they published the entire list of Moldovan politicians who ate out of his hand Plotnyuk, well, the entire elite of Moldova, PA, PSRM, PD, etc., should be dismissed and early elections organized. Why hasn't Plotnyuk been brought to Moldova yet? It's very simple: if he talks, more videos of corruption will come out. Arrest the Americans who took the bribe and protected Plotnyuk. Dear Americans, you saved Moldova from a pimp. We will be very grateful if you stop protecting rapist waiters, who rape the women, mothers, daughters, wives of political opponents and then try to open a criminal case against them as if these raped women were prostitutes. I notice that some drink champagne like Valeriu Pasa. I also published about his wife who worked for Plotnyuk, and there is also the famous picture where he, Valeriu Pasa, participates in a meeting with Plotnyuk. Pasha Valeriu also gives us moral lessons. But it is enough to go to the profile of his wife Ekaterina Miskazina. When your wife worked for Plotnyuk, you still have the guts to come and give us moral lessons. They keep trying to invent all kinds of legends, but this doesn't work anymore. Their problem was that they thought that the Moldovans would believe them again, but they all understood what was happening. Update/November 4, 2022. The Russians are corrupting most of my friends, family members. They have discredited me and will continue to discredit me, and now they just have to arrest or kill me. Everything will end in two ways: if I am not going to be killed or imprisoned on a criminal case fabricated by these people whom I accuse of espionage in favor of Russia, they, Poles, Romanians and Moldovans, will end up on the dock at the International Court of Justice for crimes against humanity, including the Americans who support and defend them. You will not have the right to say that I did not know. If you didn't know, you should have asked me. You knew and you didn't ask me, or you saw what I wrote on the website and on my social networks and you still didn't ask. You will be locked up in prison. You will lock me up or you will kill me, suicide or accident or any suspicious death or communist tactic. When you have nothing to arrest him, you put him in psychiatry. Anyway, you will end up in prison. Everyone already knows. I still have to get the necessary information to go with the file to the International Court of Justice, and you will end up as criminals against humanity. Considering that I asked the Poles to stop Nazi experiments and they continue to do Nazi experiments which continue to this day, any judge at the International Court of Justice will severely punish the Polish state and the perpetrators involved in Nazi crimes and corruption. No matter what justification they have, that I would be a terrorist or a spy does not give them the right to do Nazi experiments. You have proof that I am a terrorist, put me in jail. You have proof that I am a spy, put me in jail, and if you don't have it, let him go. Collaborating with the authorities of the state with which I hold citizenship is strictly prohibited when I request political asylum. That you took bribes from the Russians and then try to make up all kinds of crap about me being a terrorist or a spy, these are just cheap attempts to get out of jail. The third option does not exist and will not exist. Update/November 5, 2022. Will the Poles continue to do Nazi experiments against me together with the Moldavians and Romanians, FSB/GRU? Of course they will continue. Because the Poles can be blackmailed by the FSB, and the FSB continues to help promote the Poles as well as the Romanians in their careers. The Poles have no choice because they are facing life imprisonment for corruption and espionage in favor of Russia, and that is why no one will investigate these Poles. Romanians and Moldovans will continue to pretend that they are pro-American and pro-European. I don't have any friends in Moldova or Romania. Just like I don't have any friends in Poland anymore. Everyone who takes bribes from the Russians is my mortal enemy, and I will not stop until you are in jail. When I have all the evidence about the Nazi experiments made by the Poles against me in the refugee camp, I will sue the Poles at the International Court of Justice, all those who took bribes from Russian intermediaries such as Romanians or Moldovans. The deciding factor will be that you knew you were doing Nazi experiments, and although I asked you to stop doing Nazi experiments, you continued and are still doing Nazi experiments. Update November 23, 2022. I have contempt for rapists, pedophiles, zoophiles, and communists. Cristi Daniele supports and protects pedophiles and zoophiles, and as Christian Razia also declares, this Cristi Daniele is supported and protected by Monica Macovei. Monica Macovei was a communist prosecutor in Ceausescu's dictatorial regime. There is no doubt that there is a collaboration between the Moldovan and Romanian communists, and they protect each other. For those who don't know, Maia Sandu gave the RM citizenship to Cristi Daniele. Update November 24, 2022. Maia Sandu is again delusional, believing that she has once again managed to lie to all the citizens of Moldova. We know exactly who participated in the concession of Chisinau International Airport. Maia Sandu. Today Chisinau International Airport returned to the management of the State of the Republic of Moldova. The Court of Appeal issued a final and enforceable judgment in this regard. I congratulate all the team involved in the recovery process of the airport. The corrupt group, which abusively took over the airport in 2013, and in recent months has been trying to destabilize the situation in our country, for fear of losing what it stole, suffered a defeat today. We will continue to reform the justice sector to ensure that thieves and corrupt people return all assets stolen from the state and citizens, and people are convinced that justice can be served in Moldova. It is a video where you can see how she, Maia Sandu, votes on May 29, 2013 in favor of the airport concession, being the minister and prime minister at that time was Iri Linka. Update December 4, 2022. The more popular I will become, the Poles, the Romanians and the Moldovans who have taken bribes from the Russians will try to close me in prison. I am a danger to their freedom, their career, because they have taken bribes from the Russians and because they are waiting for their life prison.